Have you ever been put on the spot and your mind just froze? Like, you're in a meeting, someone turns to you and says, "What do you think?" And suddenly, every smart thought disappears. Or maybe you've had to speak in front of a group with no prep, and your words came out all wrong. Fast heartbeat, dry mouth, awkward silence, you know the feeling. What if you could handle moments like that with calm and confidence? What if you didn't need a script to sound clear, sharp, and even a little impressive? In this video, I'm breaking down the book Think Faster, Talk Smarter, a simple, powerful guide that shows you how to speak well under pressure using 6 easy steps. No fancy tricks, just real tools that actually work. Let's get into it. This book was written by Matt Abrahams. He's a lecturer at Stanford and a communication coach who's helped tons of people get better at speaking in the moment, without sounding nervous, rambling, or lost. At its heart, Think Faster, Talk Smarter is about one thing: learning how to speak clearly and confidently when you don't have time to prepare. No slides, no notes, just you, your voice, and the moment. And let's be real, those moments come up all the time. A surprise question in a job interview. A friend asking you to give a quick toast at their wedding. Someone pulling you aside for advice. Or even a tough question during a meeting or presentation. This book gives you the tools to handle those moments without freezing, overthinking, or regretting what you said later. Let's dive into the heart of the book, the 6-step method that helps you speak better when you don't have a script in front of you. These first 3 steps lay the foundation, and honestly, they're all about getting out of your own way. 1. Calm. Manage speaking anxiety. The first step is simple but huge. Calm your nerves. Speaking off the top of your head can feel terrifying. Your chest tightens, your hands sweat, and suddenly your brain feels like an empty room. This isn't just in your head, there's real science behind it. Matt Abrahams breaks anxiety into 3 types. He calls them the ABC symptoms. Affective, how you feel you're stressed, nervous, maybe even panicked. Behavioral, what your body does: shaky hands, fast breathing, dry mouth. Cognitive, how you think you blank out, forget your point, or overthink every word. So, how do you deal with it? Matt shares easy, practical tricks. First, breathe deeply. Not the chest kind, belly breaths. In through your nose, out longer through your mouth. It slows your heart rate and clears your mind. Second, cool yourself down literally. Hold a cold water bottle before speaking. It helps regulate your body temperature and calms your system. And third, use positive self-talk. Say things like, "I've got this," or "I've done this before." It might sound cheesy, but it works. You can also create your own anxiety management plan, AMP. Choose a few techniques that help you feel steady and have them ready before high-pressure moments. Everyone's AMP looks a little different, but it's like having a go-to toolkit to steady yourself when the pressure's on. 2. Unlock, maximize mediocrity. Now here's something surprising. Stop trying to be perfect. Really? One of the most important lessons in this book is that trying to get it right every time is what holds you back. When you focus too much on sounding smart, you freeze. You overthink. You fumble. Matt teaches this using a fun and weird game called Shout the Wrong Name. You walk around and point at things, but instead of saying what they are, you say something completely random. You point at a chair and say banana. You point at a lamp and say socks. It's harder than it sounds, because your brain is wired to get things right. But here's the point. Being spontaneous means letting go of the need to be perfect. It's about being okay with just good enough in the moment. That's when creativity flows. When you stop forcing the best answer, the real, natural ones come out. That's where connection happens. Matt calls out something important here. We all have mental shortcuts, or heuristics, that we fall back on. These are automatic replies, or safe answers we give without thinking. The problem is, they often sound robotic or surface level. When we let go of these and allow ourselves to be a little messy, that's when we start sounding real, and real beats perfect every time. 3. Redefine, change your mindset. This step is about flipping the script in your head. Instead of thinking, "Ugh, I have to speak," change it to, "I get to share." See the difference? When you treat spontaneous speaking as a threat, your brain goes into panic mode. But when you see it as a chance to connect, share ideas, or show up for others, everything shifts. You feel more open, more grounded. Matt says it's not about being fearless. It's about being willing. Willing to try. Willing to mess up and learn. When you adopt that mindset, you stop judging every word that comes out of your mouth. And that's the real secret, not trying to be perfect, but being present. These first 3 steps, calm, unlock, and redefine, are all about how you prepare yourself. Not with slides or bullet points, but with your mindset, energy, and focus. Once you got those down, you're ready to start really connecting in the moment. Ready for the next 3 steps. Let's keep going. Let's talk about the last 3 steps in the Think Faster, Talk Smarter method. Listen, structure, and focus. These are the tools that help you sound clear and stay on track, especially when you're caught off guard. 4. Listen. This might sound obvious, but most people don't do it well. Really listen. When someone's talking, we often start planning what we're going to say next instead of actually hearing them. But if you're too busy thinking ahead, you're going to miss the point. Matt Abrahams says listening is a superpower. It gives you the information you need to respond in a way that actually fits the moment. Whether it's a question during a meeting or a casual chat at a party, take a second to absorb what was just said. Then speak. You don't have to rush to fill silence. Pausing to think isn't awkward, it's smart. 5. Structure. When you're speaking off the cuff, it's easy to ramble or go off topic. That's where structure comes in. Think of it like a mental GPS for your thoughts. Matt shares some simple formats you can use on the fly. One of the best is the what, so what, now what method. What? Say what the point is. So what? Explain why it matters. Now what? Suggest what should happen next. You can use this in meetings, presentations, even in personal conversations. It keeps your message clear and helps your listener follow along. People don't remember long, scattered replies, but they will remember something that's clear and organized. 6. Focus. Finally, focus. This one's big. When nerves hit, we tend to talk too much, repeat ourselves, or over-explain. But less is more. Get straight to the point. Strip out anything that doesn't add value. Ask yourself, is this helpful? Is this clear? If not, cut it. Matt reminds us that clarity wins. Your goal isn't to say more, it's to say what matters and say it well. When you listen first, structure your message, and focus on what counts, you'll sound more confident, even if you weren't ready for the spotlight. These 3 steps help you land your message and keep people listening. Now let's talk about something even more useful, how to apply everything you've learned in real-life situations. This is where Think Faster, Talk Smarter really shines. It doesn't just give you theory, it shows you how to use it when it matters most, at work, at events, even in casual conversations. Let's break it down, one situation at a time. 1. Small talk. Most people dread small talk. It can feel fake, boring, or just awkward. But Matt gives us a simple way to make it easier and more natural, the Ford method. Ford stands for family, occupation, recreation, dreams. These 4 topics are great conversation starters, and they open the door to deeper connection. Instead of asking, how are you? Try something like, what do you enjoy doing on weekends? Or what brought you to this event? Simple questions, but they show interest and spark better replies. The key here is curiosity. Don't talk just to talk. Ask open-ended questions, listen well, and let the other person guide the pace. You're not trying to impress them, you're trying to connect. That's what makes small talk feel less small. 2. Toasts, tributes, introductions. Ever been asked to say a few words at a wedding, retirement party, or team event, and didn't know where to start? It's nerve-wracking. But there's a trick. Start with emotion and with meaning. Matt recommends using a super simple structure: past, present, future. Let's say you're introducing a colleague. Past. When I first met Sarah, she was the quietest person in the room. Present. Now, she leads our biggest projects and always steps up. Future. I'm excited to see what she builds next because she's just getting started. It's heartfelt, easy to follow, and it sticks. The point is not to be perfect. It's to be genuine. A good toast or tribute doesn't need fancy words. It just needs heart and a little structure. 3. Pitching ideas. Pitching isn't just for entrepreneurs. You might need to pitch an idea to your boss, your team, or even your friend. The trick here is to show contrast. Start by describing how things are right now. Then, paint a picture of what could be. That gap, the space between today and tomorrow, that's where your idea lives. Also, answer this key question: why now? Why is this the right time for your idea? Whether you're pitching a new strategy or a side hustle, you need a story that explains why your idea matters and why it matters today. Keep it short, make it relatable, and focus on benefits. People won't remember every detail, but they'll remember how your idea made them feel: excited, hopeful, curious. 4. Handling Q&A sessions. Q&As can be intimidating. You're on the spot. You don't know what's coming. And the silence after a tough question? Painful. Here's the fix: buy time. You don't have to jump into an answer right away. Repeat the question back. Paraphrase it. Say something like, "That's a great question. Let me think about that for a moment." Next, use a mini structure to organize your thoughts. A good one is the problem, solution, benefit format. For example, the problem is we've been relying on outdated tools. The solution is to switch to a faster, more modern system. The benefit is we'll save time and cut down on errors. That structure keeps you from rambling. It gives your answer a beginning, middle, and end, even if you just made it up on the spot. 5. Giving feedback. Giving feedback can be tricky. Too blunt, and you come off harsh. Too vague, and it's useless. Matt introduces the SBI model to help strike the right balance. SBI stands for situation, describe when and where it happened. Behavior, state what the person did, just the facts. Impact, explain how it affected you or the team. Example, in yesterday's meeting situation, you cut off Jane twice while she was speaking. Behavior, it made it hard for her to share her input. Impact, that's it. No drama, no guessing, just clear, honest feedback. And when you deliver it with respect, it helps the other person grow instead of shutting down. 6. Apologies. We've all messed up. Saying sorry is part of being human, but doing it well? That takes skill. A good apology isn't about over-explaining or making excuses. It's about owning it, showing empathy, and explaining how you'll do better next time. So, skip the long speeches. Just say, "I'm sorry for how I handled that. I see how it affected you and I get it. Here's what I'll do differently moving forward." That's it. A clean, honest apology builds trust. Trying to defend yourself too much only makes it worse. Each of these situations, small talk, toasts, pitching, answering questions, giving feedback, and apologizing, are real moments that most of us face. The good news is, you don't need to be a perfect speaker to handle them well. You just need a few solid tools and a bit of practice. Matt's whole message is this: you already have what it takes. With the right mindset and a little structure, you can speak up with confidence, even when you're not ready. That's what real communication is all about. Let's keep going. Let's clear something up. Those smooth, polished TED Talks you see, they're not as off the cuff as they look. Most of them are heavily rehearsed. The pauses, the stories, even the jokes, planned to the second. And that's fine. But real life doesn't work like that. In real life, you don't get to hit rewind. You get a question in a meeting. Someone asks for your thoughts during a group chat. You mess up, and now you've got 5 seconds to fix it. That's why Matt says spontaneous speaking is more like jazz than classical music. It's not about perfection, it's about flow, feel, and timing. But here's the catch: even jazz musicians practice. They learn their scales, play with others, and build muscle memory. The same goes for spontaneous speaking. If you want to sound natural in the moment, you've got to prepare. Not by memorizing lines, but by working on the skills, calming your nerves, structuring your thoughts, listening, and focusing your message. One more thing, don't underestimate the power of humor and humility. You don't have to be a stand-up comic, but a light laugh or honest moment can make people lean in. It shows you're real. It shows you're not trying too hard, and it helps everyone relax, including you. So, no, you don't need to sound like a TED speaker. You just need to sound like you, but a version of you that's calm, clear, and connected in the moment. That's more than enough. Let's take a break from tips and talk about real people. Because this stuff doesn't just work in theory, it works in real life. Irma's story, from silence to stuck. Irma was in her 60s when she wanted to give a speech at her granddaughter's wedding. Just a short, loving message. But she couldn't. Not because she didn't love her granddaughter, but because of something that happened decades earlier. Back in high school, a teacher asked her a question in class. She answered the best she could, but the teacher snapped, "That's the dumbest answer I've ever heard." The class laughed. Emma never forgot it. That one moment shaped the rest of her life. She avoided speaking in groups. She chose a quiet job as a librarian because it required little public interaction. And even all those years later, the idea of speaking in front of others brought back that same panic. That's how deep this fear can go. One bad moment can echo for years. But the truth is, no one deserves to be defined by something like that. Not Irma, not anyone. Stephanie's story, leading through nerves. Stephanie became CEO of her family's business in her late 20s. On paper, she had everything. Drive, smarts, a good team. But inside, she was struggling. She had to make tough calls during COVID. Her team was watching her. And she was afraid of messing up, especially since English wasn't her first language. She started stumbling over words, holding back, losing sleep, even thinking about stepping down. Then she tried something simple, an AMP, an anxiety management plan. Her version was based on 3 things that grounded her: heart, speech, and mind. Heart reminded her why she was doing this, to serve others, not prove herself. Speech reminded her to slow down and stay present. Mind reminded her that most of her fears were just stories in her head. She didn't magically become fearless, but she found her balance. She started speaking up more clearly. Her team noticed the change. Now, she even helps others do the same. Archana's story, finding her voice. Archana had recently moved to the US and switched careers. She was new, unsure, and constantly doubting herself. Meetings felt like landmines. She'd sit silently, even when she had ideas. Afterward, she beat herself up for not speaking. What helped her wasn't a big transformation, it was small shifts. Practicing techniques, trying to listen more, giving herself permission to mess up. Her confidence grew one conversation at a time. One day, when a colleague passed away, Archana surprised herself. She stood up in front of the office and shared a heartfelt tribute. No script, no prep, just heart. That moment stuck with her and showed her how far she'd come. These stories aren't about becoming perfect speakers. They're about being brave enough to try. To say, "I'm nervous, but I'll speak anyway." That's what Think Faster, Talk Smarter is really about. Small wins that lead to big change. Alright, so here's the big takeaway. You don't need to be a natural speaker to speak well when it counts. You don't need to be the funniest in the room, the smartest in the meeting, or the most confident at the table. You just need a few simple tools and the willingness to practice them. Think Faster, Talk Smarter isn't about becoming perfect. It's about becoming prepared. It's about learning how to show up in everyday moments, meetings, conversations, interviews, or even quick chats with strangers, and feeling a little more ready each time. If there's one thing I hope you take from this, it's that this is a skill you can build. You don't have to keep freezing when someone asks you a question. You don't have to avoid speaking up just because it's unplanned. You can learn to pause, breathe, think, and respond with clarity. One of the most powerful tips in this book is the idea of creating your own AMP, anxiety management plan. Pick 2 or 3 things that help calm you down. Maybe it's deep breathing. Maybe it's having a short mantra like, "I've got this." Maybe it's keeping a cold drink nearby before you speak. Build your own little routine and use it every time you feel the nerves coming. And practice small. You don't have to wait for the big speech or the boardroom presentation. Practice in everyday life. Speak up during group chats. Answer questions in meetings. Ask someone about their weekend. Each moment is a chance to build confidence. Now, if this video helped you feel a little less alone in your speaking struggles, or gave you a new way to handle pressure, I'd love to hear from you. Backhand index pointing right, like, comment, and subscribe if you've ever panicked when put on the spot and want to change that. Backhand index pointing right, want more book breakdowns like this? Drop your suggestions below. We've got a lot more practical tools coming your way. No fluff, just things that actually work. Thanks for watching. Keep speaking. Keep growing. And remember, your voice deserves to be heard.